Chapter 5. Pivot on Purpose. Don't quit your daydream. Do you remember the day you graduated from high school? The smell of the room, the excitement and motivation in the air, the playfulness of your classmates as you scurried to your seats? This was it. You were 18 years old, finally free and ready to go pursue your dreams and leave your mark on this world. However, at some point between your first failure and your current situation, you might have lost that dream. Maybe you did achieve that dream and you are ready to conquer a new one. Or perhaps your dream got interrupted by life and you still silently long for its fulfillment. Or maybe, just maybe, you have a new dream, but you are terrified to say it out loud. This cycle is life. Sometimes we succeed, and oftentimes we don't. New variables come into the picture and can easily change the equation. However, at a certain age in life, we tend to draw a line in the sand. Why aren't we taught that no matter what age we are, we can still reevaluate and focus on new goals? After all, how could we possibly have the same desires, visions, wants, and goals as we did when we were younger? When I reflect on the decade that was my 20s, the individual I was at 20 compared to who I became at 30 is unrecognizable. Why, though? How could 10 years make such a big difference? Think about a 10-year-old's perspective of the world versus a 20-year-old's. 10 years plus life experience makes all the difference. Which brings me back to pivoting toward your dreams, new or old, at any age. Have you ever heard of Vera Wang? She is a world-renowned fashion designer who has dressed everyone from Michelle Obama to Jennifer Lopez and Kim Kardashian. With her massive success, at what age do you believe she launched her company? After retiring from figure skating and moving on to work at Vogue, she then pivoted at the age of 40 and launched her own fashion line. She never looked back. How about Stan Lee? Does that name ring a bell? He was one of the creators of the Marvel Universe and didn't develop the Fantastic Four until he was 39. He then went on to create popular characters such as Spider-Man, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Let's take a look at Julia Child. She was a chef, author, and television personality. Julia didn't enroll into culinary school until age 37. It wasn't until age 50 that she released her first cookbook and went on to launch her career as a celebrity chef. What do all three of these individuals have in common? They all pivoted at a later age, which resulted in their big break. Had they never taken that step, who knows where their professional lives would have ended up. Throughout my 20s, I pivoted 2 imperative times. For many years, I worked as an executive assistant to a travel agent, but it got to a point where I was no longer being challenged. The work became monotonous and there was no room for growth. I knew it was time to pivot and find a new path. In early 2014, when Freddie and I partnered with the Anti-Aging Company, it enabled us to travel to remarkable places around the world. We made connections with thousands of people and built meaningful foundations with lifelong friends. If we wouldn't have pivoted, we would have never had the critical experiences that made us who we are today. When 2018 swung around, Freddie and I were presented with yet another possible move. Do we continue on this business path or fulfill our creative desires? After 4 years of putting our blood, sweat, and tears into our business, we were proud of what we had built, but we both felt something was missing. After quite a few months and many in-depth conversations, we decided it was time to pivot. In late 2017, we launched our vlog, a video blog, and in early 2018, we created a podcast called The Freddie and Alyssa Show, as well as my lifestyle blog, alyssatabit.com. Through these creative projects and experiences, we were both presented with different paths. One summer evening in 2018, Freddie and I were out grilling, and I had my feet hanging in the pool, my phone in one hand, and an iced coffee in the other. I looked up at Freddie, who was deep in thought. I asked him, "What you thinking, babe?" He jumped back to the present and glanced down at me, replying, "I just feel there is something more we could be doing, more we could be giving." I paused for a moment and responded, "Maybe it's time to share our story. We did it on a smaller scale through our trainings for our business. Imagine if we could reach and help more people. Freddie thought for a moment while flipping our patties. Then he looked back down and said, "You mean write a book?" I took another sip of my coffee and replied, "That's exactly what I mean." His face lit up and he grinned from ear to ear, knowing this was the perfect pivot for us. The next day, we got right to work on the pivot principle. We eagerly mapped out every chapter, making notes of specific stories and lessons we'd taken from every life experience. In this chapter, we specifically wanted to address an imperative question. How do you know when it's time to pivot and move on from something which no longer serves you? Let's rewind and go back to when I was working that job as an executive assistant in 2014. I remember sitting one day after work and debating whether or not I should stay at this job. I decided to write a pros and cons list. It looked as such. Pros: I make decent money. The hours are flexible. I'm comfortable. Cons: I dread going to work. I'm losing interest. I'm not growing. If you're anything like me, not feeling fulfilled is the first sign of questioning whether or not I should be doing something. Once I put it down on paper, I realized dreading a situation I was losing interest in and not growing as a person was a huge indicator that it was time to change my working environment. However, there is a fine line between giving up too quickly and quitting, or giving something your all and understanding when it's time to throw in the towel. At the bare minimum, give an opportunity a year, a true year of consistently pursuing and making time for that goal. A little bit every day adds up. There's no quantum leap in life, but if you carve out at least an hour a day, you are bound to see progression. If you don't, perhaps that is a sign the opportunity isn't a good fit. Time blocking to the rescue. You know that lovely little saying, "I don't have the time"? Yes, we are all guilty of saying it. It's a comforting excuse we hide behind that makes us feel better. Wheezing after a flight of stairs? "I just don't have enough time to work out." Guilt gone. Wishing your side hustle business to which you give zero time was growing faster? "I just don't have the time." Congrats! You can now comfortably binge watch your favorite TV show in peace. Looking to build your online presence but haven't started the course you bought to teach you about social media? "I don't have the time." You now have a clear conscience to hit the snooze button and roll over. Newsflash, you do have the time. It just isn't a priority. Let that marinate. Anytime you catch yourself about to say, "I don't have the time," stop and say, "It's not a priority." Let's rewind a minute. Wheezing after a flight of stairs? "I wish I could work out, but I just don't have the time," becomes, "Exercising isn't a priority." Wishing your side hustle business would grow faster? "I wish I could reach out to more leads, I just don't have the time," becomes, "Building my business isn't a priority." Wanting to build your social media? "I wish I could start that course in social media, but I just don't have the time," becomes, "Carving out time to learn a new skill isn't a priority." It stings to hear, but it is a necessary lesson. We have 168 hours in a week. Time is our most precious resource. Where you choose to spend your hours is a clear reflection of where your priorities lie. How do we organize our time? How can we add new priorities to the mix? Freddie and I utilize a practice called time blocking. Traditional time blocking schedules every task you have for the day within a time slot. More on that later. However, when looking to add new priorities into your schedule, we use 4 15-minute time blocks throughout the day. For example, if you were looking to build your side hustle and be more proactive with your body, you could accomplish this by using 4 15-minute time blocks. They might look something like this. Time block number 1. Send 2 emails for possible new clients. Time block number 2. walk for 15 minutes. Time block number 3, follow up with 2 leads from yesterday. Time block number 4, do 4 sets of 25 crunches. Remember, each time block is only 15 minutes. Therefore, you can spread these 4 blocks throughout your daily schedule. Perhaps you place time block number 1 with your morning coffee, number 2 during your lunch break, number 3 while you wait to pick your child up from soccer practice, and number 4 before you shower in the evening. As you've seen, a common theme in this book is being intentional with your actions. By utilizing time blocking, you are now prioritizing positive habits into your daily lifestyle, which translates into growth. Pivot into action. Are you ready to pivot on purpose? Answer the following questions. Number 1, what goal do I want to prioritize and add into my schedule? Number 2, fill in the 15-minute time blocks with the activities you will schedule. Time block number 1, time block number 2, time block number 3, time block number 4. Add these time blocks into your schedule and start today.